Hello and welcome to a series where I talk about RPG Maker VX Ace as a creative tool for making video games. If you haven't seen the first video, my name is Sullivan, known on the internet as Official Bowtie Artist, and I have over 4,000 hours of experience using RPG Maker VX Ace, so I decided to share what I've learned about this program with people who are interested in the process of making games. Let's answer the first question, although many of you already know the answer to it. What is RPG Maker VX Ace? The RPG Maker series is a program that is designed specifically for creating video games, excelling in role-playing games, or RPGs. Released in 2012, RPG Maker VX Ace is an improved version of another one known as VX. VX Ace brings about greater flexibility, more structured databases, new features, and better support from the community. It uses Ruby script coding for its internal language, which, while much older than the JavaScript language in MV and MZ versions, is still easy to understand if you squint at it long enough. The program may be old, but there are two major benefits to using a tool made more than a decade ago. Now, one, of course, is the community support, as I've mentioned before. The other is pricing. VX Ace will run you around $70 US, which is cheaper than the newer MV and MZ versions, which run at around $80. The program goes on sale constantly, all the way down to $6.99. That's a 90% off sale every few months. So not only is it still supported to this day, it is very affordable. Let the record show, MV goes down to about $12 during sales, and MZ goes down to roughly $35 per sale. For those jumping in for the first time, I'd say the cost of a medium 2-topping pizza from Domino's for an everything-included video game engine is a really good deal. So you've bought the program, you've installed it. Awesome. There's just one problem. Where do you start? Well, let's create a new project. Now, definition time, a project, according to the official help file, is a collection of data and resources that constitutes your game. On the computer side of things, this is going to create a folder where your game's data will be held, which includes the loadable project file itself. Click on the New Project button here, or select File to New Project on the menu bar. This will pop up a new window, which will be where you'll put your first choices into play. Create your project name, your game title, and your project's main folder location. Note that the folder name and the game title can be named separately, but the folder name has to conform to the general rules of your computer. You can put weird symbols in your game's name, but putting them in your folder name will result in an error. Once you've decided on everything, click OK. And just like that, welcome to the wonderful world of, Oh wait, we don't have a world yet. That's fine. For now, let's get you situated with some of the main buttons you'll see at all times. Now, you already know this is your New Project button. The folder icon is the Load Project button, and this floppy disk icon is the Save icon. A lot of you will already know what these icons represent, considering they're pretty universal with a lot of programs already. The next section applies to events. Cut, copy, paste, and delete. These are pretty self-explanatory. The undo button does exactly what you think. It just undoes the last action you've made during development. Just be warned though, there is no redo button. Also, you can only undo up to 16 previous actions at a time. Next are the most important buttons when it comes to what you're working on: Map, Event, and Region. Map switches to Map Mode, which allows you to design your map using tile sets, seen here. Event switches to Event Mode, which allows you to create and edit events, a term which here means things that are happening on your map. Think of your map mode as making a pathway, and event mode is making the people who will walk on this path. Or map mode is making a shop, and the event mode making a shopkeeper and the customers. Region switches to region mode, which allows you to set regions for different parts of your map. This could be used for a lot of things, like for puzzles or for defining which enemies show up in which section of your map. We'll go over each mode in separate videos. Next are the draw tools, which allow you to switch between drawing a selected tile or tiles where you click, selected tiles within a bounded square or rectangle shape, or selected tiles within a bounded circle or oval shape. The last icon, the bucket, allows you to fill in a section of your map with a chosen tile, This will fill just the section chosen, aka any tiles in a contiguous. How do you? Hold on, I gotta Google how to pronounce this. I don't know how to pronounce this word.
Contiguous.
This will fill just the section chosen, aka any tiles in an adjoining area that match the tile you're currently clicking. The small circle here is the shadow pen, which allows you to draw wall and building shadows. Now, I do want to point out that the shadow pen acts a little differently than the previous draw tools. This selects 1/4 of a tile square at a time, rather than a full tile square. This will give you a little bit more preciseness in your shadows. Clicking where there is not a shadow will produce a shadow. Clicking where there is a shadow will remove the shadow. Want to know a secret? There is a secret drawing tool not shown in the menu at all, and that is the eyedropper tool. Right-clicking on the map sets the selected tile as the usable tile. You can select multiple tiles to use in this way, and can even use this with the region mode. Right-clicking an event, however, will not result in the eyedropper at all. We'll get to that later. The scale menu is the next one, which switches up your display scale for maps. 1:1 is the standard scale and will show your map as your events will see them. The 1:2, the 1:4, and the 1:8 will reduce the map to the selected scale. This helps for larger maps. The previous buttons were for your map and for your events, but these next buttons are more behind the scenes and even more important. The database button opens the database window, which holds everything about your game settings. What your characters' names are, what a potion does, what a weapon strength equals, what a piece of armor defends you against, all that's contained here. More complex settings like class, skill, and states are held here too. Same goes for the enemies, the tile sets, the common events, even system settings, and terms definitions. Your database is where you truly define what works, how it works, and what makes everything different from each other. Let's go over each one very quickly. Actors, the playable characters in the game. Classes, the type of character and their skill set. Skills, special moves your characters can do. Items, usable things within the game, such as potions or food or keys. Weapons, offensive equipment used to attack an enemy. Armors, defensive equipments used to protect yourself against an enemy or gain the upper hand in battle in other ways. Enemies, those who would do you harm, whether it is a basic slime or a giant boss-type creature. Troops, the battle itself, setting up which enemy or enemies will appear in a battle. States, which are bonuses or afflictions that can affect your party or your enemies, like poison or sleep or HP regen. Animations, which are visual effects showing what your skills or weapons do in battle or showing visual effects on the map itself. Tile sets, the tiles used to design a map. Common events, events that can be called easily through one event command rather than having to redo the event contents repeatedly. Also helpful for parallel and auto-run events that could happen on any map depending on the conditional switch. System, defining various defaults within your game, such as default party, sound effects, player location, title screen, and options. And terms, defining the names of the game commands, parameters, and the common terms the game will use throughout. Debatably, the database is the most important section of your game. Take the menu slow and steady, and pay attention to each additional entry or edit you make here. Resource Manager is a dedicated importer and exporter of various resources, such as character sprites, tile sets, music, and even your title screen. Alternatively, with a little tweaking, you can simply use your game's folders and move things manually. Script Editor is the coding foundation of everything. This is the heart of Ruby script coding that makes your game actually function. I heavily recommend not touching anything in this editor unless you're absolutely sure you know what you're doing. The RPG Maker community has made several, thousands of scripts which are importable into your project by placing them in a specific order, usually under materials above main, and depending on what they do in a particular, first to last order. Most of our tutorials will not be using scripting until much later, so you don't really need to worry about that right now. Sound Test pops up a window which allows you to do exactly what the name suggests. It tests sounds. Specifically, it allows you to play BGM, which is background music, BGS, which is background sounds, ME, which is music effects, and SE, which is sound effects. You can test the sound as well as play around with the volume and the pitch. This window, however, just tests the sounds. It doesn't actually play them in-game. That'll be for a different video later on. Character Generator will open a dedicated window involving, a character generator. This will allow you to mix and match a large variety of pre-made parts to help you create various characters. Skin, hair, eye color, those are all customizable through a simple drop-down menu, and then followed by hairstyles, face shape, ear types, eye level, facial hair, clothes, even a tail if you need it. I tend to do things a little differently and use this sort of as a base, not an end-all be-all, but I'll be going over that in a later video. Depending on which version of VXAce you have, most likely Steam, you may see this gear icon right here. This allows you to set certain details for uploading to the Steam Workshop. This is not for uploading your whole game, but more like sharing ideas, database settings, scripts, short demos, and so on. You'll also be able to save through the cloud as well as delete from the cloud. I will have to admit though, out of my 4,000 hours using this program, I have never utilized this menu. This last button is the fun button, the playtest button. This allows you to play your game. This opens your game differently than a player would. You have special developer-only features that only you can access, like holding down the control button to go through impassable tiles or opening the console to see behind-the-scenes data. Pressing F9 will display the debugger window, which will allow you to change certain things like variable values or switches being turned on or off. Stay it with me, which we will go over in a future video. If you'd rather play your game in the same way as a player would, go to your project's folder, open Game.exe. This will open your game normally without developer tools enabled. Well, that's it for the main menu bar. If you're not comfortable using these shortcuts just yet, you can always select each option through the menus above it. Now, on the left of the screen are our tile sets and our map selection windows. These will show the tile set you selected within map properties and defined within the database. The map selection window is a list of all maps within your game. Maps can be anything from small rooms to the great outdoors, dungeons, valleys, everything in between. And we'll actually go over the map properties in the very next video, as well as the map selection window in detail. Alright, now that the basics are covered, we're going to wrap this video up for the time being. The next video will be about creating our first map, the map's properties, and the map selection window. There is no homework for tonight's video as we're just getting started, but expect some next time.